You can't see it. Maybe you can. Oh, try it again. Well, it shows up better. It shows up backwards. Y'all, it is not even 5 o'clock in the morning. Some of you are still asleep. Some of you haven't gone to sleep yet. And guess what? Mm-hmm. Still in my prayers. See, that's not going to stop. It's quiet right now. So I don't have the TV on. No, I don't. But one thing that I've come to understand that as we progress through time, more and more we are embracing the influence of media. Media has always been there. It was just not used as a tool that it is today. We can go back to great wars that were fought by way of using hearsay through simple influences of deceptive words, lies, deception. And as we have progressed through time and evolved as a society, man has found a way to bring illustration behind its tactics. I say this, y'all, because you have enough on your plate to worry about what Manny, Mo, Jack, Sheila, Sarah, Billy, Jaquan is doing in their day to day life. You have your own story, you have your own experiences. But do you really understand what is being revealed to you when it is? The highs, the lows, the things that are unforeseen can easily be defined by reflection based off of your connection of your emotions. Everything that you will see, everything that you have experienced. Did you take note or did you simply water it down? Did you? You know me. I always try to point out things that you may have overlooked because you have far more life to live. But to get there, you must go within. At a minimum, I want you to understand something. Just simply, you do understand the person you are, the person that you will evolve into by way of your journey. That person has a story to tell. That person has a wealth of knowledge. That person will inspire those who will come from their legacy and the path less taken. Who am I talking to? You think that what you're seeing right now is the tipping point of your life? I'm here to tell you it is nothing but a simplistic brick on the pathway that you are traveling on. But until you allow yourself to admit to yourself what you need compared to what was a distraction, will you be able to understand the formula that makes time? I know somebody needs to hear that because you're still trying to process events that have already occurred. Don't you understand? If anything, think about where you were emotionally at that time. Did the walls seem like they were closing in? Did it feel like no one was there? No one understood you, like you were talking in subtitles? Or was there a peace that was given to you to guide you through it? See, I've come to learn that there's a great percentage of the populace that will not admit or even know that they are suffering from manic depression. I like to believe that a lot of that is significantly connected to the exposure of the things that you take in your environment, the things that may have influence on your choices. How about that impulsive thinking compared to critical thinking? But I also know that there are a lot of people who will not admit this to themselves. Still to this day, you are not comfortable in your skin. And the real question should be why? Why is it that you're not comfortable in your own skin? Do you not realize the person that looks back in that precious mirror you owe everything to? Hmm? So why won't you give yourself credit? If anything, look at it this way. If you didn't have a purpose, you wouldn't be hearing this. So this is the reason why I convey a lot. Do you know who you are? Because if you knew who you were, why would you put yourself in harm's way? Usually people who deem it risk taking do it for low self-esteem purposes. They feel that their life only has a marginal amount of validation and they seek what they think they need, which is only impulse, which is only based off of fear. You know, fear. Finally, everything's a reality. But we live in a world where we want things yesterday and we don't want to work for today. And then when it is brought to question or validation, we feel a certain kind of way. We feel violated. We feel as if we are being disenfranchised. But yet, when you speak truth, no one wants to hear it. They want to turn the volume down or overlook it or act as if it never occurred. This is your truth. So are you supposed to go through life like a like that buoy in the water, just sitting there? Are you supposed to do that? No, you're not. How can you graduate emotionally if you have not yet built the foundation of you. Do you realize there are people walking around amongst you that still refuse to value their lives? And does it surprise you every day you turn on the boob tube to hear another disappointment, to see another betrayal, to be exposed to another violation? Yet we talk about civil rights, but yet we don't talk about civil liberties because we don't understand how it connects to you as the individual. And rightfully so, because people refuse to be comfortable with the person in the mirror looking back. People feel that in some way they've been shortchanged by the essence that makes your body. Talk about that beautiful spirit you yet to know. But yet they will quickly justify behaviors by, well, what don't kill you make you strong. Don't you realize if your life didn't matter, you wouldn't hear my voice? You wouldn't wake up. That beautiful mind wouldn't understand the words coming out of my mouth. That priceless heart would not do its job. Carry the living blood. Because guess what? No matter where you are emotionally, you are still God's child. And all mankind is doing is rebelling from itself. Meanwhile, your time, your resources, and connections are being ransomed out to the lowest bidder. They don't want you to see your worth. They want to keep you broken because they know as long as you stay broken, you will not be focused on where you're going, the work that has to be done. How about the healing that's required? You are still carrying wounds. Because it has a scab on it doesn't mean it's healed. Who am I talking to? Doesn't matter what mask you wear today in the world. It doesn't matter. If you're still broken, you're still not living. But here's a kicker. You have to be truthful to yourself sooner or later. Why does it have to be on your deathbed? Why is it then the truth has to come out then? Because even then, you would have to admit how much power truth has. At the end of the day, y'all, you will have to admit. So you can fool them, but you can't fool yourself. And that's where the contradiction is. That's where the conflict lies. And that's where the rubber meets the road. Because while you're too busy worrying about what they're doing, you don't realize who's planning to do you. Literally, figuratively, emotionally. While you're worried about what's in their wallet, why aren't you planning to fill yours? Because it's too easy to be in the neighbor's yard than cut your own grass. And all that does is give a platform for what? ego, dissent, deceit, corruption, manipulation. Don't you realize this is all the foundation that is needed to defile yourself? But you know what? Heard someone today, heard someone today say, well, last night, how pretty much they do not believe in God. So, and you have the right to believe whatever you choose. But the question should be asked if, do you have faith in anything? And most people can't answer that because still they do not know who they are. So does it surprise you that Stockholm Syndrome still exists? Social brainwashing occurs every day. Don't believe me? Just come here. Anytime you spend time into someone's, what they're projecting out, if it inspires you, guess what? They're brainwashing you to think a certain way. It just depends on if the intentions are pure or not. And that is the reason why pain is the way it is. Because, see, it takes some integrity for someone to say, hey, well, you know what? I plan on taking advantage of you, and I'm not going to take any accountability, and just letting you know. Nobody's going to do that. No one. Even a narcissist would not do that. And right now, we're living in the most ultra narcissistic environment society's ever known. Everybody wants to gorge in negativity like they're at a buffet. They just want to eat it all up, but nobody wants to pay the bill. Nothing's for free. So what's distracting you? Who's distracting you? Why is it going down? Why do you feel the way you feel? What is the influence behind the choices you make? All these things can be answered the moment that you finally stop running from you. While you too busy worrying about why Johnny didn't call you, don't you realize Johnny's not going to be your husband? Mm-mm. Johnny's a distraction. And really, when you want to take a step back, you wanted Johnny to be your distraction, maybe because of your low self-esteem or a validation for your ego and pride. Well, don't you know that anything that is not blessed won't last? It always leaves a void. It always leaves a scar. It always leaves a mark to let you know where it was. But you know what that mark stands for? The mark represents your wisdom by way of the experience, by way of insight, because you were there. That's why I said that you do yourself no good to try to say, well, they took advantage of me. You were there. I got it. You were there. Did anybody point a gun to your head and say, or if or else. You willfully did this. But we're getting to a point that identities have no weight. Queen, what is it going to take for you to go back to that little girl that lives inside you? Or are you already at the point where you don't even recognize the little girl in the mirror at all? It's sad nowadays. You see a whole lot of walking corpses. But the contradiction is, you hear this. You only date Susie. Why? Hmm. But you look out in society, and little Tangy is emulating the traits of Susie. I've been yelling that from day one. You wear her makeup, you destroy your eyebrows. Why you cut your eyebrows off to draw them back on? And I know the big deal is because you emulate what you see, but don't know the foundation of what it was. So it's simple to have a make it to fake it mindset. Well, it don't broke, it don't hurt. I'm going to do it right now. But you're lying to yourself. Why are you lying? Who you trying? You don't have to prove nothing to nobody. I don't care if you live in the jungle or you live out in suburbia. But it's very important. It's very apparent nowadays for a lot of people to live out in suburbia that they want validation so bad. Little Bradley want to be a thug. Little Garrett needs a rep. Little Cecilia, she wants to be adorned. All under the mindful watch of her surroundings, safe. Why? Because you see Jezebels do it all the time on TV. You do understand, y'all. They want to water down society to the point where the blind will lead the blind. I don't like talking about political stuff because it is about opinion, but I'm a firm believer if you don't do the research, you'll be easily misled. But it is a byproduct or like a piece of litmus paper of social environment. And you rightfully should be very afraid. We have on one aspect a position, the highest position of the free world. And what it's going to boil down to is a man versus a woman's point of view and who you support. Personally, it's not my business on who you feel is the rightful selection, but I highly recommend that you do the research. Am I disappointed? Yeah. Does it surprise me? No, because we're heading into a world where everything will be spoon fed and measured. Measured because it will be calculated. And it's a sad thing because, see, the things we do today are the things that are going to be the building blocks for the generation that will come behind us. And what example do we set? Seems like we're not going forward. We're walking in quicksand. And no matter how much we try to denounce the fact that the foundation is weak, we are oblivious to what is going on. You can't yell for peace if you don't have peace within yourself. And if you don't have peace within yourself, how can you have a dialogue? And if you don't have a dialogue, how can you have communication? Yes, it's easy to say, I am my brother's keeper, but if you're not connected with you, the individual, how are you going to understand what you truly need if you will not give yourself permission to embrace the journey? Come on now. Why you think your relationships fail? They're going to continue to fail. Hmm. They're going to continue to fail because you keep lying to yourself. Did you hear me? Some people do not want to admit to themselves that they have a love affair for their pain. They don't want to change it. They want to keep the status quo. If anything, they want to perpetuate it even more. Well, who does it affect? You, the person that you don't know, the unborn. See, a coward will never take accountability for choices made because those choices are impulsive. They're never thought through. They're never. And that's what bothers me because somebody's going to wake up today and you're going to get some news that you did not expect. But that's not going to be the impact. The decisiveness is going to be how you react. So I'm saying this to each and every one of you. I hope that wherever you are, give thanks. Yes, even in pain, give thanks. You say, well, why, Gerald? Why do I want to give thanks to pain? Because you have been given the opportunity to see that person, that situation will soon be over. But the kicker is, can you admit that to yourself? One of the most deplorable things I've ever seen play out, because everybody's got to show their teeth these days, is you see the distraught young lady take it upon herself to put herself in harm's way and destroy property or take a position that will put her in not good light at all. You see it all the time, but don't see the bigger picture. Only to play out the experience over and over and over and over again. You know why? You're not taking stock of what you need to grow. You can't sit up here and say, I want someone to unconditionally love me when you don't do it yourself. That's just like sitting down to eat something and you automatically say, let me get the salt. You don't even know what's before you. You don't know if it's been made for you. We instinctively go off of what the past experience has shown, which goes back to what I've said before. Life is progressive. But if you have no foundation, if you refuse to love yourself, then you become the victim. You become everything that you detest. Why? Because you didn't see the importance of your life. Why you turn around getting yourself worked up over something that was false? Don't you understand? You give permission for more of the same. Doesn't matter how it's manifested in the environment if you don't see the thread of what is being shown. So does it surprise me when you hear young women say, well, that's why all men are dogs. We attract what we are. Why do you overlook that part? If you're tired of getting screwed over, it's the habits that set up the action because you're afraid to, because it'll require you to finally take accountability for the role you play. Mm-hmm. What happens? You play yourself. So you've gotten a platform now that now people are saying, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do it this way. Sounded like a scene out of the classic show Little Rascals. We had the Wee Men, what was it, the Wee Women Haters Club or something they used to have with little boys on the show. It's the same thing going on today. I'm an independent woman. I'm just gonna go my way. Don't you realize you are just walking in a circle? You might be walking into a cul-de-sac because until you realize what it took to walk into it, it would be the same thing that's going to be needed to walk right on out. How about truth? How about acceptance? How about loving yourself? Some of you are willfully leave the door open for anything and anybody to come in. Don't you understand? Demons got to stay employed. The greatest tool a demon uses is deception. So if the environment is soft on the eyes and it sounds good, and that's your chick, I'm good. And then the rug is pulled from under you. Does it surprise you why, queens, you won't admit how many sexual partners you've had? Because you have to admit that shame. Why do something that you can't hold your head up high for? I've never met someone willfully say, yes, I'm promiscuous. I am. Because that same person would have to also admit that they're doing it because they want to be loved. They want to feel emotionally safe. If you're changing your sexual partners, like you change your shoes, and one of you know you got a bunch of shoes. You got shoes under your darn couch. Go get them shoes. Go. Those over there. Ultimately, you're robbing yourself from the joy that you deserve. And you will not be able to have that joy until you prepare for it. And you'll also notice that in the caliber of men that you allow yourself to gravitate towards. Same thing for you, kings. BBD said it a long time ago. Don't trust a big button to smile. But yet, you just hypnotized. Don't you know that derriere will not be there for you when you're sick? Hmm? Do you think that cleavage gives a damn if you've seen a meal? Hmm? No. Because until she sees her worth, she can't value yours. So now, right now, you got people think they're winning because they're acting like digital underground. Do what you like. You want to do all the drugs you want, do whatever you want. And you're seeing social acceptance for people out here ODing, walking around like zombies. That's your living dead. That's your living dead right there. See somebody get hit with one of those darn flashers and they just don't even realize somebody can come up and bust your brains open and rob you. Can't do nothing. They'll come up missing. You do understand the sex trade never died, y'all. The oldest profession in the world is prostitution. And I believe some of these young children that come up missing are somewhere overseas or even here in the United States. Because, oh, yes, I think it what was it, Fuse? Vice. And they did a story about that. There are a bunch of places in the United States that got sex houses where people of privilege go to sleep with underage people, people that are not in their right mind or strung out on something. Nobody knows where Cassie is. Cassie used to be on social media all the time, then Cassie got snatched. What happened? But yet, we are at the most technological age today, and no one knows nothing. How can people just up and disappear? Well, let's be honest. If a person wants to disappear, they can. But Queen, let me tell you something. While you over there glorifying your youth, because that's all that is. That's all it is. You're glorifying the power of your skin, the firmity of your muscles and tendons that make up your tone and curvature. If you're willfully poisoning yourself from the mind, where the mind goes, the body flows. And that's why you hear people always say looks fade, because they do. The same people that you seeing right now that are over the top, that take no accountability, that are on 10. You know what's going to happen to them? They're going to go through a season of a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of abuse, a whole lot of denial. You know what happens? You end up being one of those mamas out there that are like 40, 50 pounds overweight. Why? She didn't willfully wake up one day and say, I just want to be overweight. That was progressive. Instead of embracing her emotions and trying to understand her environment, she turned to food. Because the food don't argue back. It's a tool, a pacifier. She turns to drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, prescription pills. And then you go through a phase of you call yourself rebelling. And you pretty much start the line of endless men. See, at one time there used to be a sign. There used to be a time of innocence where like, there were some things you just didn't know. Well, social media changed that because anything you need to know is found right here. All you gotta do is put search. And they say that the average young woman between the age of 16 and 22 will have been exposed to pretty much everything you can do sexually, but won't take credit for it. It used to be, well, she's a good girl. She don't do that. Those are the ones that are doing it the most. Those are the ones that have mastered manipulation and know how to use half truths. Don't you realize every lie that you tell, someone's gonna tell you? Example, I'm not seeing any men right now. That's half true, because you're involved with a woman. People have gotten conditioned to tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to know. All I can say to you, y'all, is this: at the end of the day, you know what's broken. You know what needs to be changed. You also know what needs to be invested in too. And the real question should be asked, why won't you? What's stopping you from taking that step? What's keeping you from doing the self inventory required for your happiness? Some of y'all haven't. Look, you're looking at somebody that lost his smile for over 10 years, didn't even know it. But because it was a fact of the environment that I was in and what I had seen and or been exposed to. I've been very fortunate to travel all over the world, and there's still some places that I've yet to go, but I know before it's all said and done, I'll get there. I'll get there. Um, but the stories are all the same. The situations are all the same. We are all human beings. We all go through different things. The only thing different is the economic access. You think that what you're going through, that that there's a guy in Russia not going through that, or somewhere in Bangladesh, or Kapora, or no, we're human beings. The only thing that separates us is the language and the economic access. You will have those who have compared to those who don't worldwide. That's just how it is. So until you get tired of being tired, or if you finally get time to admit, well, when you stop being afraid of yourself, maybe you'll invest in yourself. Because I keep trying to tell you, you won't find happiness in a stolen moment. And if you have to steal it, guess what? It wasn't meant for you to have. And then if it wasn't meant for you to have, guess what? Sooner or later, you're going to have to pay what you owe. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. We got so much going on, y'all. People running around in clown outfits. But actually, I see that really differently because I think that is nothing but a mere tactic for those who are that have to socially let you know that you're the clown and they're laughing at your pain. Because meanwhile, while you don't know who you are, they're still making money off of you. Something to think about. Claim your life back. Be blessed.